Good evening and welcome to the Township of Chatham reorganization meeting here on Thursday, January 3rd, 2019. Greg, has adequate notice been given?
Yes, adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was given to the Chatham Courier and the Morris County Daily Record on January 5th, 2018. Notice was posted on the bulletin board in the main hallway of the municipal building on January 5th, 2018. And notice was filed with the Township Clerk on January 5th, 2018.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin our meeting this evening, it is the tradition at our reorganization meeting, to invite Monsignor Mahoney from Corpus Christi to come up and give us our invocation. So, Monsignor.
Let us pray. Lord, for 213 years, our citizens have come together here to promote the common good. History reminds us that even the British soldiers and our ancestors who lived in this area were able to set aside many differences and work for the good of all. We seek your blessing on our meeting this evening. Give wisdom to our newly elected leaders and those who will continue to serve us. Give your protection to our first responders, the members of our police department, volunteer fire departments, and emergency squad. May they know of our respect for them and our gratitude for their service. Bless all the members of our township government offices and departments and our wonderful volunteers. We pray for our nation, for peace in our world, and the safe return home of all who will protect us in our town and wherever they may be stationed. Should it be your gracious will, O Lord, may this meeting not continue until dawn, because it is really cold. Bless us all in the name of the God who created us, the Sun who brightens our days, and the Spirit that inspires each of us to serve the needs of all. Amen.
Our first item up for business. First item up for business is the oath of office of our newest committee member, Tracy Ness.
Say aye.
I,
Give your name and full.
Tracy Ness,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
of
Township Committee Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Roll call, Greg.
Mr. Selin?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mrs. Ness?
Here.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Here.
Mr. Ritter?
Here. Now, before we go into the next item, the selection of the mayor nominations, I just want to discuss a brief proclamation for an individual who is here this evening. One person once said that if you can't say something in 2 minutes or less, it's not worth saying. And while this proclamation could have been written to speak for over 30 minutes, if not an hour, in the interest of time tonight, I will keep it brief. And this will probably be my last official act as mayor in my capacity here. And it's been an honor, as I said in my video that was posted last night, to serve as deputy mayor for 2 years and mayor for 4 years. And I'm very proud of all that we've accomplished as a committee over those years, the township employees, the committee members that are here this evening, and the past as well. And just want to say thank you very much. It's been an honor. And I'll read the proclamation. Whereas Chatham Township is home to Corpus Christi Parish, which exists to be the Roman Catholic community of believers in Jesus Christ here in Chatham Township and surrounding communities. Whereas Corpus Christi has been served by Monsignor James Jim T. Mahoney for the past 45 years, the last 28 as its second pastor. Whereas when Monsignor Mahoney was appointed pastor in 1990, Corpus Christi was a parish of 600 families and has since grown to more than 2,230 families and more than 8,300 individuals from 48 different towns. Whereas over the years, Monsignor Mahoney has become a spiritual leader, confidant, and counselor to his parishioners, as well as to many individuals outside the Corpus Christi parish. He has shown himself to be a leader not only in the Catholic Church, but the entire Chatham Township community. Whereas it is with sadness that Bishop Arthur Serratelli accepted his request for retirement effective January 13, 2019. Whereas Monsignor Mahoney will now be able to devote more time to watching his beloved Chicago Cubs, studying scripture, culture, becoming conversational in Spanish, and mastering vegan cooking. Whereas Monsignor Mahoney's hope for Corpus Christi has been to create a parish community rooted in the joy of Christ, both received and shared. The Chatham Township community is blessed that he has achieved this and much, much more. Whereas in recognition of Monsignor Mahoney's dedication, commitment, and service to the residents of Chatham Township, we wish him the very best in his retirement and all the blessings that come with it. Now, therefore, I, Kurt Ritter, Mayor of the Township of Chatham, do hereby proclaim and declare that January 13, 2019, as Monsignor James T. Mahoney Day in the Township of Chatham in the state of New Jersey, and impart the Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. This isn't goodbye, it's we'll see you soon. Our next item on the agenda is the selection of the mayor and nominations. And I'm going to begin with this process. I'm very pleased to nominate this individual. It's someone who has served in the committee for years. They've expressed an interest in serving as mayor in the past. They've held several roles and has been a liaison to several boards, active in the community, someone who has had the support of other fellow committee members, both in their election and their support in their role for leadership positions on the committee. This individual is an empty nester unlike myself and offers a perspective of other older residents. It's my pleasure and honor to nominate Michael Kelly for mayor.
Thank you. I'll second that, Your Honor. Absent the support I believe I need from this committee to assume the role myself, I believe it is in the best interests of all the voices of all the residents of Chatham Township for Mike to serve as mayor. Truly, in fact, the only logical choice. I hope he accepts this nomination. Mike is a man of good tenure on our committee, of thoughtfulness, clear understanding of municipal government in general, and our township specifically, and of much needed collegiality. He is uniquely qualified for this position. Mike is a person who can bring this community together nicely. I second your nomination. Mayor Ritter.
Are there other nominations for mayor?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to nominate Typhoon Selen for mayor. And I'd like to say a few words on about Typhoon's story and why I'm nominating him for mayor. Typhoon was born in Turkey and came to the United States at the age of 26, unable to speak English. His first job here was pumping gas in Madison, because even though he had an architectural degree from Turkey, it was not recognized in the United States. He continued his education here in America. He earned a CPA license, built a professional career, got married, is raising a lovely family. Along the way, he put down roots in his community, first in Chatham Borough, where he served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and then in Chatham Township, where he became active in the Republican Party. He took on an uphill campaign for state assembly. He became chairman of the Republican Municipal Committee. He was appointed to a vacancy on the Township Committee and then was elected by the voters to the current position on the governing body. Typhoon, again and again, donated his time and service to Chatham Township. But Typhoon's past service is only one of the reasons why I am nominating him for mayor. I'm nominating Typhoon for the very practical reason that he will be good for Chatham Township looking forward. He is approachable, respectful, and responsive, which is exactly what residents need on local issues. But he also has unique strengths to help the township at the regional level. Through his campaign for state assembly and his position as Republican chairman, he knows the mayors and elected officials of many nearby towns. He has a personal relationship with almost every Morris County freeholder and with many current and former state officials. Having Typhoon as mayor will have real, tangible benefits when the township deals with the state, county, and our neighboring towns. But Typhoon's history of community service and his relationships with elected officials across Morris County are still only part of what will make him an excellent mayor. I'm nominating Typhoon for still another important reason. The word immigrant has taken on some nasty connotations in the national debate. Typhoon is an immigrant, yet he is willing to step up and serve his community. Typhoon is living the American dream in the sense that he has benefited from citizenship and in turn is giving back to make his community better. Typhoon is a reminder that most of us are only 2 or 3 generations from being immigrants ourselves. He is a reminder that we are all living the American dream, that we all benefit from living in Chatham Township, and that our community benefits when each of us gives back our time and our volunteer service. The nomination of a first-generation American citizen sends a message about who we are in Chatham Township, that we value and encourage inclusion and diversity and leadership and service. And that may be the most important reason why I am nominating Typhoon for mayor. As a footnote, I want to remind Typhoon and the audience that he will not be the first Turkish American to leave his mark on Chatham Township. Our first police chief was a Turkish American, Rustam Bey, back in the day when the township had a one-man police department. And during Typhoon's bar is still even higher. And during the 1920s and 1930s, the world knew Chatham Township as the home of Madam Bey's training camp. The site, Madam Bey's training camp, the site of 12 heavyweight boxing champions and 78 members of Boxing's Hall of Fame trained there. And the site of that boxing camp on River Road is marked by one of the Historical Society's fine historic markers. Yes, Typhoon has high standards to live up to, but I'm confident that 2019 will be a good year under his leadership.
And I would like to second that nomination.
Okay, first, procedurally, we'll take care of the first nomination that had been made for Mr. Kelly to
Can
be mayor.
I decline the nomination, or do we need a vote?
Mr. Kelly, you've been nominated to serve as mayor. Do you accept the nomination, and if elected, will you serve?
No, I will not.
Okay, that solves that. Mr. Selin, you've been nominated to serve as mayor. Do you accept the nomination, and if elected, will you serve?
I do.
You still need the formality of a roll call vote.
As a point of order, are we allowed to ask individuals questions prior to nominations or no?
Ask what individual?
Well, Typhoon, a question.
I think that there's been a motion, a second.
Is there
Either
opportunity
have
for discussion or no?
a discussion, and then a roll call. That's the normal course of events. During that type of discussion, there is typically no question and answer period. That has
So I can just
passed.
make a statement, and whether or not it's answered is irrelevant, I guess, right?
Well, again, the point now is for discussion.
Okay. The discussion I have is Typhoon serves as the chairman of the Chatham Township Republican Committee, and if he were to serve as mayor, I just wonder whether or not that would be a conflict for the residents, many of whom are Republican, many of whom are independents, many of whom are Democrats. And I would just throw it out there and ask Typhoon if he would resign his position as chairman of the Republican Committee given the situation.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for your service in the last 3 years as the mayor of Chatham Township, and I decline to answer your question. And I just accepted the nomination for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Selin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
No.
Mr. Ritter?
No.
A motion carries. Typhoon, if you want to come down.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Guadano. I'm the former Lieutenant Governor of the state of New Jersey, and I've been invited to swear in the mayor of the Township of Chatham. This mayor. All right, so wait a minute. Where's the rest of your family? Up here, up here, up here. Everybody in the picture. Nobody wants me in the picture. They want the family in the picture. Ready? Left hand on is that a Bible? Yeah. Okay, right. Raise your right hand, but everybody in the picture. Here. Can you see everybody? Yeah. You're blocking. Is that your dad? Here. You know what? You sit over here. Left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Now, you take the shot from over there. I've done this a few times.
This is how Lieutenant Governor looks.
Look, 20 years from now, you're never going to remember me. 20 years from now, you're going to be looking at this picture, and you're going to say, why didn't I see fill in the blank? All right, so we're ready. Ready? Everybody look over there. All right. Now, you just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Typhoon Selen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all of the duties
and all of the duties
of the office of
Mayor
of the Township of Chatham
Mayor of the Township of Chatham
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Good luck. Yes. Oh my goodness.
You got one too.
Ah, I like that.
Right, so let's have a picture. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, the next item on the agenda is the selection of the deputy mayor. And I'm opening the floor for nominations and nominations for deputy mayor. I actually would like to nominate Mr. Mike Kelly for the deputy mayor job for all the reasons that my colleagues mentioned today. There's a nomination on the floor.
And I would like to second that nomination.
Is
Any
there
other
any-
nominations?
Any nominations or discussion? If not, Mr. Kelly?
You will accept?
Yes, I will.
But you've been nominated to serve as deputy mayor. Do you accept the nomination, and if elected, will you serve?
Yes, I will.
Okay, now we're at the point of roll call vote, unless there's any discussion. Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
No.
Mr. Ritter?
No.
Mayor Selin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mike, if you want to come down? Okay, say aye.
I,
Give your name and phone.
Michael Kelly,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of Deputy Mayor
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Next few minutes, you're stuck with me because I'm going to do my mayor's speech. It will take probably less than 10 minutes and probably more than 5 minutes. Usually, if there's more than 3 people in the room, I start by saying, my name is Typhoon. And people say, what kind of name is that? So I say, Typhoon, just like the hurricane, right? So, and then some people say, okay, that's a cool name. And it depends on where you are, obviously. And then I continue with, hey, I have a brother whose name is Volcano. And that's where the, it's broken now. Now, but the volcano, and the people then ask, do you have a sister? And I say, no, but would have been named Tsunami if I had one. And then one more thing goes, conversation goes like, what kind of parents do you have? And my parents are here, and Volcano is here, and my wife is here, my lovely daughter is here tonight. So, and now, I'm not going to start my conversation like that this time. I'm going to start differently. So, my name is Typhoon Selen. I'm the mayor of Chatham Township. And I'd like to welcome you all to this great chamber and thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. And I'd like to thank the committee for electing me as the mayor and for their confidence in me. Thank you. And I will work very hard every day to earn your respect. And I'd like to begin by congratulating Tracy Ness for joining the committee this year, and I am committed to working with her throughout the time that we serve together, leaving the campaigns behind and doing the good work for Chatham Township. This is what we need. And Tracy and I had one thing in common, even before her coming into board here, and that is that we both had seniors in Chatham High School last year, and they both are in the college this year. So they're freshmen in college, and that is our common thing. And Ryan and Daphne, and congratulations to you. And if there's any other Chatham High School students here, I just tell you one thing: college is expensive. And work hard and study hard, at least pretend like it. And so I would like to recognize some of the folks here, and we just, I think she just left. We had the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Gudano, former Lieutenant Governor Kim Gudano was here, and I want to thank her for coming. And I don't know if still John McKean is here. John McKean, the assemblyman from District 27th in New Jersey. I think he just left, and I want to thank him as well. So I have John City here, who's the Morris County the chairman of Morris County Crime Stoppers. Plus, he was former freeholder. He's former Morris County Republican Committee chairman. And I had Bruce Harris here, the mayor of Chatham Borough. I don't know if he's still here somewhere. Okay, over there. And he was once nominated to Supreme Court. He always says that. Don't mention that. So, and Ted. I can't say your last name, I apologize, is here, Koblars, and he's the council member in Chatham Borough as well. So thank you guys for coming. And also, again, I want to thank my family and being here tonight, supporting me, and my lovely wife, and letting me do what I want to do. And this is a great sacrifice from the family side, I know that. And my daughter, I want to thank her as well for being here. And I'm going to talk about, real quick, about our accomplishments in 2008 and 2019 goals in the next few minutes. But before I get to that, I want to just talk about the next few minutes about my story. And I'm going to tell you all the things that Mike didn't tell you. And I came to America about 22 years ago, in November of 1996. And I was 26 years old, and just so you relate to timing, and Bill Clinton was finishing up his first term as president. And even more important than that, and if you turned on TV, every channel on TV was showing this white Bronco, the SUV, was being chased by police officers, right? So, I didn't understand much about it, but then I learned that this was the thing. Although the verdict was reached about a year ago in October of 1995, but the TVs were all consumed with that. So that's the time that I came here, and didn't speak much English. I mean, I couldn't do this speech at all. I mean, I hardly spoke English, and I started at a gas station and didn't have to talk too much. You just need to know, hey, you want to check the oil or something like that. So, and I didn't have much money, and first few $100s I spent to buy a car. It's a Caprice Classic, very old station wagon car, and that was probably the cheapest car. I paid $700 for that car, and it was probably the cheapest car. And per person, you can fit in it basis. So you could, I could have probably fit the entire room in that car. So first day in America, I was taken from JFK and coming to New Jersey, and I was told that I should see Manhattan. They took me through Manhattan, and I'm looking at those buildings, and I was amazed by seeing those skyscrapers. I mean, I went to architectural school. I saw those buildings in my classes, but being next to them, driving by them, and going into Lincoln Tunnel like 2.5 kilometers, like 1.5 miles, and going into New Jersey side, looking at Turnpike. It's a huge, like 10 lanes this way, 10 lanes coming that way, and you could see the power and the strength and the greatness of something. This country was big and rich and powerful. So that was my first day. Everything was big. Everything was big in America. Okay, so I went to a dinner at a restaurant right on Route 22. It was Fridays, I can say that, and it was had just opened. And I was thinking about how big things are in America. There you go. That plate comes with the food and huge. You could feed the entire room here. So that also showed me about America, the abundance of resources in America. Right. So then, early 1998, I married to my beautiful wife. Sits right here. In 1999, we purchased our first home in Wharton, New Jersey. And year 2000 was the most important year in our lives, and because our daughter was born, and Daphne, she's right here with us as well. So she went to public schools, Chatham Public Schools. I'm proud of it, and she's proud of it, and she's because it's one of the greatest school systems in the state, if not in the country. So we make all the rankings, the top rankings, Chatham school systems. So 12 years after arriving in this country, and in another November day, in 2008, and the proudest moment in my life, one of the proudest moments in my life, I pledged allegiance to the flag, and I became an American citizen. Just like my daughter, I was an American. Not sure I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I think that the way I walked may have changed a little bit with the pride of being American. So, and carrying that pride. And honestly, I felt probably a little smarter that day, that amazing feeling. Now, after 22 years, fast forward 22 years, and almost exactly 22 years, since my arrival to this country, there have been over 8,000 days. And 8,000 times, I woke up as a proud person to live in this country. And after 2008, about 10 years, last 10 years, I was proud to live as an American citizen. Every single day. If I learned one thing in last 22 years, if I learned one thing that you would ask me, what did you learn in America? And I would say, ladies and gentlemen, we live in the greatest country on earth. This is the greatest country on earth. And what makes this country great is not what I have seen on my first day. It's not about that. It's not about the size of the buildings. It's not about Empire State Building or New Jersey Turnpike or the food and the people and the nice cars. What makes this country, greatest country on earth, is you, the people. It's people. It's you. Our chief of police, Tom Miller, and his police officers in his building, in his department. Our firefighters in Chatham Township, who would not hesitate one moment to danger their lives for you. Department of Public Works, Rich Young sits right there. They want to make sure when it snows, they plow the snow so you can go to work next day. Or if there's a storm, they clear all the roads so you don't make an accident. Folks in this room make this country great. And our neighbors helping each other. When they need help, they lend a hand to a neighbor. The women in this room who work in the PTOs in the schools, making schools, not only making the schools work better, but preparing our children for the better future. That's what makes this country and this town great. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. I was a cookie mom once. I was delegated, my wife, and I became a cookie mom, 2 years in a row. So, but they all are in this room tonight. They all are in this room tonight. So, Now, one thing I was going to say all about this, that I'm not really the first Turkish American who involved with the government here, and our police chief and my colleague mentioned it, so I won't mention that. And so that's really what I wanted to share as to my story and what I learned to be an American in this country, and that's why I am involved with this. And that's why I wanted to serve as your mayor, to give back to my country and my community. Now, let's talk about accomplishments in 2018. And as the committee, we have done a lot of things and a lot of good things. And I appreciate the Mayor Ritter's leadership on all those accomplishments. And honestly, I'm not going to read them to you because the full list was about 400 pages. Thanks to Mayor Ritter, we did a great job. And but honestly, the couple of them I will mention. And number one, Township received AAA credit rating because of the good management, financial management. That's big. That's important, right? So we make sure we don't spend your money. We spend your money like it's our own money. So that's number one. I want to mention one other thing. We settled our agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center. That was big. That's a big obligation, and it's not done yet. We settled it, but we have to comply with it. It's a multi-year obligation. So that's really another one. And police chief, we have a brand new police chief, and I want to mention our township administrator. You thought I forgot about you. I didn't. Tom Chicaron is retiring after 30 years of service to this beautiful town. He is a very, very talented person, I tell you that. So I learned a lot from him. So as far as goals for 2019, I'm going to tell you a few things real quick. And what I want to do is I want to build a good relationship with each and every member of this committee so we can get things done for you. So that's my number one goal. Number two, as I mentioned, affordable housing agreement. It's a multi-year agreement. Make sure we stay in compliance and we make progress on that. So that's number two. Number three, I want to increase the level of communication and build a better bridge in between residents and the local government and encourage more residents to involve and volunteer with town business. This year, honestly, we have received so many applications from volunteers who wanted to involve with the town. So that's a good sign. So that goes back to my first part of my speech about what makes us good as a community. So I'd like to propose to the committee at some point this year 2 ad hoc additional committees, and one would be the Technology and Cybersecurity Committee, and one would be the Community Affairs Committee. So there are 2 committees I will propose for their review and their approvals. And hey, skate park. I have to tell you about skate park. And I'm going to do my best to find a solution working with our committee members. And my showstopper is it has to be net zero effect. So just want to make sure we're conscious about that. So I'm going to do everything I can to work with our committee members here to make sure our skate park is relocated somewhere, as long as it's not a tax burden to you guys. So that's important to me. And really, these are the main points. And one more time, probably like 4 times already, I want to thank my wife, my daughter, my family. I want to thank the committee members. I want to thank the township workers, our consultants, our professionals, police officers, firefighters. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for being the residents of Chatham Township and making this town the greatest town to live, raise a family, and educate your children. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. right, so next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. And so,
I would like to propose that we remove resolutions 2019-04, designating township committee members, subcommittee assignment liaisons, as well as resolution 2019-005, appointment of various boards, commissions, and advisory committees to discussion.
Does that need a second, Albert? I'll second that.
No, I'm sorry, no, it does
doesn't?
not. As your agenda states, any committee member may call for a separate discussion and vote on any item, so there's no need for a second.
Thank you.
all right, then we're going to do that. We're going to move them out of the consent agenda, and we're going to discuss in the executive session in the upcoming items on the agenda. So,
Is it executive session, Albert, or is it public discussion?
Well, in my judgment, both of these items deal with township personnel matters, committee personnel matters, and then personnel matters related to the boards, various boards, committees, and commissions. So my recommendation is that this be done in executive session. If any action is to be taken on these matters, they can be done in public, or they have to be done in public, and any discussion that is deemed appropriate at that point may occur.
Right. Personnel matter refers to volunteers versus actual paid employees, is that right? Or
Yes, and again, for example, volunteers are covered by the municipal liability insurance policy when they're performing volunteer services. There's a whole range of protections that volunteers get simply because it is part of government. So I view that as a continuum of a personnel matter.
Very good, thank you.
all right, so Greg, can we proceed with
The consent agenda?
consent agenda?
Yeah, minus those two items. This evening, we have Resolution 2019-003, adoption of bylaws, 2019-006, establishing Township Committee meeting schedule for 2019, 2019-7, interest rate for delinquent taxes, 2019-8, interest rate for delinquent sewer charges, 2019-09, authorizing cancellation of small tax balances, 2019-10, tax searches and assessment searches, 2019-11, option to apply overpayment, tax overpayments to subsequent quarters, 2019-12, depositories of township funds, 2019-13, charges for notice of public meetings, 2019-14, designating official newspapers, 2019-15, appointment of municipal attorney, 2019-16, appointment of municipal engineer, 2019-17, appointment of labor council, 2019-18, appointment of bond council, 2019-19, appointing municipal prosecutor, 2019-20, appointing real estate appraiser, 2019-21, appointing auditor, 2019-22, appointing deputy records custodians, 2019-23, establishing employee appointments, 2019-24, appointing risk management consultant, 2019-25, appointing local emergency planning committee members, 2019-26, designating insurance fund commissioners, 2019-27, temporary budget, 2019-28, designating public agency compliance official, 2019-29, appointing members to the Municipal Alliance Committee, 2019-30, approving cash management plan, 2019-31, authorizing service charges for return checks, 2019-32, designating continuing disclosure agent and independent registered municipal advisor, 2019-33, regarding signatures on checks, 2019-34, certifying compliance with NJSA 40A:4-5, 2019-35, payment of bills, 2019-36, approving minutes of meetings, 2019-37, approving executive session minutes, 2019-38, approving sewer connection, 2019-39, appointing police officer, and finally, 2019-40, also appointing police officer.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion?
I actually have a question regarding the designating of official newspapers. I know we've been down this road before, Is there any parameters for choosing these newspapers? And what about the circulation? Circulation in newspapers actually continues to dwindle. Is there any thought of an alternative to doing this? Is there any legal way?
I believe the state has previously considered legislation that would have changed the way that you designate a newspaper or allow for online publication of notices and advertisements, but that didn't go anywhere. I think the newspaper industry was successful in killing it. Perhaps Mike or Tracy could share some information about that. But you're required to have a newspaper that is of general circulation within the community. It has to be a paid newspaper, it can't be a freebie. So the Chatham Courier, I think, is the only local one that actually qualifies, and then the Daily Record is named as an alternate in the event that you needed to do something on short notice and couldn't wait for the Courier's publication schedule.
Thank you, Tom.
If you would like to have this undone, I would suggest contacting your state legislators.
Thank you, Greg.
So there's a motion on the floor and seconded.
Yes, any further
And
discussion?
Roll call.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes, I'll have to abstain, though, from 2019-036 and 2019-037, as I was not present at those meetings.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Ritter?
Yes.
And Mayor Selin?
Yes, for the exception of number 19, which is 2019-21, appointing auditor, I would like to abstain from that one.
Yeah. And then, shall we do the executive session now?
Yes, we shall.
We have public hearing,
Oh, right.
I'm sorry, yes.
hearing of citizens.
Hearing of citizens. So anyone would like to come up and make comments on what was discussed so far?
Oh, boy, thanks. Good evening, Mayor, members of the committee. I want to speak to the issue of the appointments to the various boards. I want the mayor to know that since when he first threw his hat into the ring for the assembly, that our family have been supporters of his candidacies as he proceeded to go through the political aspects of it. Very admirous of the contacts that he's made on the state level and at the county level. I think it's good for the town. I think that we could be fairly critical in saying that we have not maintained, at least during the time I was on the boards, as much of a county presence as we could. We're sort of stepchild, and I hope for those county people that are here that they'll recognize that Mr. Sullivan is going to make a change in this toward a positive point. What I would like to say, though, is that I appeal personally to the members of the committee, and particularly the mayor in particular, that I be reappointed to the planning board. You heard Father Mahoney talk about the history of the family, of the history of the township. The family parallels that from the very beginning. 4 mayors over the period of the years, including myself, and also 27 years that I've spent working on behalf of the township committee, the residents, never for personal gain. When I was on the committee, the money, which is minor money that you take for the job you do, I took $1 a year from that standpoint. I've never been involved in politics for personal gain other than to represent the people of Chatham Township as best as I could. Unfortunately, there are 2 people on the board who don't want me to serve in any capacity in this township, and particularly the planning board. It was engineered by Mr. Michael Kelly, who has told people that he doesn't want Brower on any board whatsoever. And I'm appealing to you, Typhoon, as a personal friend and as a mayor, to join with at least two other people on your committee to reappoint me to the planning board, where I think I've served loyally, with integrity, and certainly with my best ability to make this town one of the best little towns in the state, the safest town recognized, top school system. There's none better. And I'm proud to have served with the type of people that I served with on the boards. I might make note that the chairman would have me come back, as would the members of that board. And I would expect your support on that area as I've supported you through the system. I'd also like to thank those of you on the board for the efforts you've made on behalf of the township. And again, tonight is a celebratory night. I think that those who have political antennae could realize that all is not well in Chatham Township as far as the political scene is concerned, and there will be further ramifications. But Typhoon, I'm expecting you as a friend to do what's right. And on that basis, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brower. And Bailey Brower has been the great soldier of the community service in this town for many years. And I want to thank you for your service, and we will have a discussion in the executive session. Definitely. Thank you. Any other residents would like to make any comments? And I don't have to say this, but if you can make it 3 minutes, and
we'll try to do 3 minutes. Dan Miller, Green Village, Chatham Township. Mr. Brower, you're 100% correct. You have served this township in great capacity, and we all appreciate it. And your experience is so needed, so needed. And I also, I loved what was said. My middle name I'm Daniel Silas Miller, okay? There was a Silas Hines who fought for the British, and he was paid with 400 acres here in Chatham Township, okay? And my lineage goes back that far. And, we're very proud of that, just as you're proud of your lineage, all of you. And what I wanted to say was, I think we would be remiss, and I would be remiss not thanking Kurt for the great job you've done as mayor, and for not thanking Mrs. Swartz for the great job that she's done as deputy mayor, and the things that you guys have done are very good, especially going through what's going on. And I wish the new administration well. We are in a time where we're going to need a strong leader, Typhoon, with Mr. Chickarone moving on in life and a new person coming in, So I wanted to make sure that Karen was recognized for her good service as deputy mayor and acting mayor at times, and also Mr. Ritter. And, I hope that as the mayor and the former mayor and the former deputy mayor were good friends to Green Village, I hope all of you on this committee, including you, Mrs. Ness, coming in, will be good friends to us out in Green Village as well, and as well as the rest of the town, because we are a unique town and we are made of, a little bit of a diverse community in many different ways that needs recognition and attention everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Jane Devlin, Chatham Township. Well, I would just like to publicly extend good wishes and congratulations to Tracy Nest. It's a new start. And it's not coincidental, I guess, that reorganizations and swearing-ins are at the beginning of a new year. So now it's a clean slate, elections are over, and there's a chance for each of us, all of us, to get behind every member of our township committee. After all, they were elected by the majority, and we shouldn't lose sight these volunteers go in with the best of intentions. If they are here to serve the town, we the constituents, then at each reorganization, such as tonight, we should be supportive and open-minded to the committee as a whole. So I also want to offer hearty congratulations to our new mayor and our deputy mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. If there are no other public members, okay, we do have one.
Hello, my name is John Strelkoff. I live in Long Hill Township. I formerly lived in Chatham Township. I served with the Democrats. We worked very hard to help elect Tracy Ness, so I'd like to thank her. But I also, more importantly, would like to thank Mayor Kurt Ritter for his service. As a Democrat, I may have disagreed with his opinions many times, but respected the way he served. I feel that he was very open with residents. He allowed residents to come up and speak. He allowed the committee to respond to residents. He allowed residents to, speak multiple times, so I want to thank him for that. I think it was called excuse me. But you have accomplished a lot working together for our town, and while we don't agree with what you've done, I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. If there are no other members of the public coming up, then we should go into executive session. Greg?
Yes, I'll read the resolution quick. Resolution 2019-P-01, resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing conference of the Township Committee with the public excluded. Whereas NJSA 10:4-12 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of the specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Personnel, board appointments. It is anticipated that the minutes on the subject matter of the executive session will be made public upon conclusion of the matter under discussion, and in any event, when appropriate, pursuant to NJSA 10:4-7 and 4-13. The committee will come back into regular session and may take further action. The resolution shall take effect immediately. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I second it.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Yes?
Mr. Ritter?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Selene?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I suggest that you retire to the conference room at the back of the building by the Board of Education, and then return to the council chamber for any action that may be required.
Okay. So we're going back in the conference room, and we'll be back. Good evening, everyone. We're going back into the regular session. This is a public session. We just had our executive session. And should I just proceed, Albert? Okay. So we discussed those two resolutions in the executive session, and the first one is the resolution number 2019-004, and we are amending that resolution, adding Karen Swartz with Typhoon Selene at a liaison for fire and rescue. So that is the amendment, and I am making a motion to approve this resolution as amended.
I'll second.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Ritter?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Selene?
Yes. All right, so we are moving on to the next one, and that is the resolution number 2019-005. That has to do with the appointments for the various boards and committees. And I am making a motion to approve this resolution as presented.
You have a discussion after?
Well, there's your standard motion, second discussion. So
And
there's
anybody,
a motion's been made, is there a second?
Second, is there a second?
I'll second it.
You want to say something?
I do.
Discussions?
Yeah, I'm going to vote no on this. It just seems very irregular. We had, just very irregular than what has been decided as it relates to the planning board. Their mayoral appointments, I just feel that how it was transpired this year is out of the protocol of prior years. It's bewildering, a lot of great volunteers, but to put individuals who served and dedicated themselves to the committee and the planning board for years with the institutional knowledge they have, not only in the township itself, but as it relates to COA and all that's going on in our township. I think it's short-sighted. It's, again, it just doesn't seem right. Then there's another individual who was leapfrogged. I think, again, another individual who's dedicated their time learning about the issues in town, and again, completely irregular for what has been the tradition. And maybe tradition doesn't mean anything because these are mayoral appointments and whatever you say goes, but I'm just kind of bewildered. So I'm gonna have to vote no, unfortunately.
Well, I would
thank
just
you.
like to
Thank you, George. Yes.
piggyback with what Mr. Ritter has said, and that is that we have some new members on the planning board who have leapfrogged over currently serving members on the planning board. We have folks who have just been summarily dismissed, not for cause, not for lack of attendance, not for actually any reason, but folks who have been dedicated to serving on the planning board. We have neophytes being added in their places, and I find that disturbing. I find that actually a detriment to our township. I find it detrimental to the makeup of our planning board. When you refer to institutional knowledge, when you refer to local knowledge, folks who have lived in this community all their lives, but not only that, have dedicated their time towards actually seeing the orderly transition in development in our community, the orderly transition in home building in our community, whether it's subdividing or the cosmetic look of some of our newer structures, whether it is something as critical to our demographic as the affordable housing that will still be in our faces for the months and even years to come. I think it's unfortunate that we have taken folks who have given their time, who have developed their knowledge, who have been instrumental in the body of work to this date. With all due respect to the newly appointed or the newly recommended people on this list, I'm not voting against the people on this list. I'm just expressing dismay that the people who have not been renewed have not been renewed, and I'm disturbed by that.
Thank you, Committeewoman Swartz. And any other discussions? Any other members, committee members? No. Roll call, please.
Mayor, if I may, traditionally this resolution is read so that the names of the individuals being appointed to the various boards are shared with the public.
Yeah, for planning board, mayor's appointments, Class 1, Michael Kelly. Class 2, Township Administrator. Class 3, Karen Swartz. Class 4, Don Travisano. Class 4, Denise Ozdemir. Class 4, Salil Sheth. And Alt 1, Peter Coviello. Zoning Board of Adjustment, Paige Labate. Filling an unexpired term, David Fitt, filling an unexpired term, and Ed Turco as Alt 1. Environmental Commission, Matt Palmer, Don Travisano, Christina Mott, Amy Mason, Alt 1, Dan Miller, Alt 2. Community Garden, Ellen Crone, Mary Beth Valentino, and Sabino Lasco. Open Space Committee, Joe Besrelian, Chairman, Abigail Maddy, Ted Smith, Sharon Tether, Chrissy Dugan, and Michael Goldfarb. Recreation Committee, Peter McNally. Colony Pool Advisory Committee, John Simonetti, John Tunney, Shannon McCarty, Dorothy Lee, and Jacqueline Jacobin.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced any names.
That's okay. Please proceed with the roll call.
Mrs. Ness?
Yes.
Mrs. Swartz?
Against my better judgment on the planning board appointments, I will vote yes to all.
Mr. Ritter?
No.
Deputy Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
And Mayor Selin?
Yes. Thank you, and so
We have
are-
to still adopt 004. We voted to amend it, but I don't think we voted to adopt it.
The motion was to adopt it as amended.
Yeah,
Was it?
yes,
Okay.
that's what.
Very good.
And now we're coming to closing prayer, I think. Do we just proceed with the closing prayer? Father Mahoney, please. Thank you. And I apologize, and we apologize for keeping you here longer than you think, but it's still better than dawn.
Lord, We pray with gratitude for the goodness and service of our citizens. May you reward our civic leaders in our community. Let us all work together to make Chatham Township an even better place for all. And thank you for not causing this meeting to last until dawn. Hear us, help us, send us home safely. Amen.
Now, I am making a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? Any second? Anybody second? Second. And roll call, please. All in favor?
Aye.